and our cultural institutions have no obligations, no boundaries or laws that they need to honor. Now, unfortunately, and I won't go into this at great length, a lot of Christians have accepted the idea that creation is inherently meaningless. Some believe that at the fall, that creation was returned to a condition of chaos, disorder, and it's our task to make meaning where there is none, and we make meaning guided by the Bible. So in a sense, the Bible is an arbitrary revelation of that is, it has nothing to do with the shape of creation. It's the Word of God delivered from on high, but it has nothing to do with the stuff that God actually made, unlike Solomon. Now that's what I find curious, bringing him in. Solomon lived after the fall too, didn't he? He thought that we could still look at creation, and a text that Christians say is inspired said he was wiser than anybody who'd ever lived from looking at this fallen creation. So clearly there's still some order there. The curse itself, in the original blessing given in Genesis 1, the things that are mentioned, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, and subdue it. And then God goes on to say, behold, I've given you all this stuff to eat. In fact, God spends more time listing the menu than he does giving the command, giving the promise that they're going to have dominion. So there are two things in that creation account, the fruitfulness of human beings and the fruitfulness of the earth, which provides life for human beings. And what is mentioned in the curse? Childbirth is going to be painful, and gardening is going to be a lot harder, basically. And I will testify to the second, and my wife will testify to the first. I was there, actually, I saw it. And I find that interesting, that the same two sources of life and fruitfulness that are mentioned in the blessing in creation in Genesis 1, they're cursed, but they're not destroyed. They're not undone. People still have babies, and carrots still grow, okay? They're weeds, it's harder to grow them, but there's still life that comes. Life still comes. And tomorrow I'm going to talk a little bit about how I think we should properly understand the gospel as the announcement that that order has not been abandoned, that God has not given up on creation, and that our assumption about morality, our assumption about ethical order and law is very much tied up with the announcement of the gospel itself. It's an announcement of the recapitulation of creation. It's why I think Jesus is referred to as the second Adam. There's a recapitulation, and we have an idea of a new creation, which I think more properly means renewed creation. Just like, you know, I have a workout and a shower and I feel like a new man. I'm still Ken, I think, but I'm renewed. So I'm going to stop there. We'll take some time for questions, and then we'll pick up with some of this, some of the theology, and then we'll look at Lewis's critique of science and his view of how imagination gives us real knowledge. Also, it'll only take about 5 hours. Okay. Questions? Comments? Objections? While you're thinking, I want to look up a quote from Lewis that just I think would be useful to kind of cap this. I should have it memorized because I quote it often enough. It's from The Abolition of Man, where Lewis says that to the wise men of old, the cardinal problem was how to conform the soul to reality. Any of you know that passage? And then he says, for magic and applied science alike, I think he says the problem is how to reshape nature to fit human desires. I'm paraphrasing slightly. And again, that's a wonderful summary of the difference between the idea that the wise men of old, the cardinal problem was how to conform the soul to reality. There is a structure in the nature of things. There's a givenness in the nature of things that requires that we submit ourselves, train ourselves through the pursuit of virtue is one of the things he mentions there, actually, to fit. I, years ago, thought I read Lewis say, although now I questioned it, that you don't go against the grain of the universe without getting splinters. I've not been able to confirm that anywhere in Lewis, so it must have been somebody else. It's the sort of thing Lewis would have said. It may have been Chesterton, for all I know. I can't find the exact quote. I'll have it for you tomorrow. But we've moved from the idea that there's an order and that the task of living a good life and ordering good societies is to conform to them. Now we want to reshape nature in order to fit our desires. We assume our desires they're the great given. They are unproblematic. Human desires are kind of self-authenticating. If there's no ethical order against which desires can be judged, then our desires are the most authentic things about us. And to try to temper our desires or train our desires is an act that deprives of us of our authenticity, our uniqueness. And so rather than training our desires, we want to reshape reality to fit our desires. Yes?
I have a question that I'd rather ask you personally, but I'll ask it now.
Okay.
I'm intrigued tonight over the idea that morality and so forth can be understood and derived even in terms of studying the created order, if I said that right.
Yes.
I didn't say it right, but
yeah, but that's, yeah. Well, in other words, there's an order in the nature of things.
yes.
Yes. Okay.
And there are inferences
Yes.
from that
Right.
that we can deduce morality from.
Well, see, deduce, at that point, let's say derive rather than deduce.
I like that even better.
Because one of the things I want to talk about tomorrow is that is not simply a deductive process.
Okay. Well, the process, whatever it is what I would
Yeah.
like to get to. It fascinates me greatly.
Well, part of Lewis's arguments in the Abolition of Man, I mean, he's making this argument, and part of the evidence for this is his assembling of data to demonstrate that virtually every culture in human history has come up with the same conclusions about what constitutes morality. I think he says in this essay, Beyond Subjectivism, he says that there's no culture that's ever thought that it was a good thing for soldiers to run away in battle. Okay, courage, all the virtues are universally attested to, no matter what people believe about God. Now there are differences, in a sense, at the margins, although some of us might not think that polygamy and monogamy are marginal. But for the most part, what he calls the Tao, or the way, and he has an appendix in the Abolition of Man where he lists all these things. In fact, I don't know if I can come across it real quickly. He says, what of the objection that the ethical standards of different cultures differ so widely there is no common tradition? The answer is, this is a lie. A good, solid, resounding lie. If a man will go into a library and spend a few days with the Encyclopedia of Religion and Ethics, he will soon discover the massive unanimity of the practical reason in man. Practical reason. From the Babylonian hymn to Samos, from the laws of Manu, the Book of the Dead, the Analects, the Stoics,